So let's just sit here, but sit here on purpose. And what that means is, at my school, there's a wonderful teaching that they use. It's called showing up and choosing to be present. When you find yourself in a situation, I mean, we all want to be here. People like us here, and we get to use our bodies. It's a wonderful space. And the garden, in general, is just a wonderful place to be. But even if we're somewhere we don't want to be, waiting in the checkout line, walking in the rain when we don't want to be in the rain, sweating in the summer when we don't want it to be the summer, we still have the option of having no option, of realizing, okay, I'm here in the present moment. This is what my life is. So you make the best of it. I was bad because I have such an active imagination and so much of my mind is spent indoors mentally. I would sort of dissociate, just sort of like tune out everything. Even if my internal life was boring or irritable, it was still better than what I was going through, I thought, or what I was living in at the time. But what we try to do here is to show up and choose to be present. We've shown up and we've taken care of that, but it's that actively accepting and actively choosing whatever we're doing, physically, emotionally, metaphysically, embracing that moment and realizing it's the only one that we have, right? We can't go anywhere else. We can take a plane, but we're still going to have to book the ticket, and it's not going to leave until this afternoon. For now, this is us. This is our life. So we can choose to be present. And just that bit of attention is a lot of times enough to make it interesting and bring it to life just by the fact that we've chosen it. There's a Latin word that they use a lot in philosophy and in literature. It's amor fati, which means love of fate. It just means accepting what is here, leaning into it. So how we do that physically is by feeling on purpose. So we close our eyes. That immediately brings us inward because our sense of touch is much more internal. I mean, we still feel the outside of our body, but our sense of touch, when we focus on that, is immediately more internal. So take a moment to just notice what your seat is telling you, right? Notice where you meet the floor. So those are pressure. It's pressure that our nerves are detecting and sending to our brain, right? The mass of the body meets the mass of the ground, and there's change there. Change in the shape of the body, change in what the nerves are feeling. So take a moment to notice that. And then notice anything else. I still have this little glitch in my right hip. I don't know if it's from running or shoes that I'm wearing, or I don't know what it is. But anyway, my right hip is not comfortable in my regular cross-legged easy pose. So that's just something to notice, right? Just notice where it feels good, where it doesn't feel at all, where it feels tight or condensed or open, or again, where it doesn't feel at all. That's a perfectly acceptable sense impression too, because that usually means we're comfortable, right? Nothing's wrong. We do tend to do physical denial sometimes where we ignore pain because it's a pain. It will be better off without it. So a lot of times we look the other way, but in reality we could usually move through it quicker when we actually bring our attention to that pain and see if there's anything that we can do to alleviate it or to change something to make the pain go away. Big heading on the outline, we just want to feel on purpose, right? Always be turning to the sense of touch because that's the language that our body speaks. Okay, let's notice our clothing for a moment, right? We usually wear our most comfortable stuff to yoga class, and what comfortable means is usually we don't feel it, right? But there will be a place for all of us, or places where we can notice contact with something that's not us. And when we're beginning a mindfulness practice or a bodyfulness practice, as I think of it, mindfulness is like the opposite, where it's like going into our mind. What we want is to go into our body. So in our bodyfulness practice, notice where you meet things that are not you, right? That's a good place to start. And then we can bring it further inward and more subtle. So notice where you can feel your shirt or your pants or your socks or your mat. Just notice where you meet something that's not you. Okay, now notice the movement of the air. At your nose or the upper lip if you're breathing through your nose, on your lips if you're breathing through your mouth. Notice how air moves, because that's always with us. As long as we're alive, our breath will be moving, and our mind loves to track things that are moving. So just track that feeling of air moving for a moment, and that again is a wonderful gateway back into the body. By noticing our breath moving, that's a good way to come back home to ourselves. Okay, the next time we inhale, let's let that breath in take us nice and tall. And on the exhale, feel your body release into your skeleton. Feel the strong parts of the body, the solid parts of the body hold us up. Our muscles don't have to work because our skeleton is guiding us. Remember, bones are for being and muscles are for doing. So on the inhale, let's get nice and tall again. And on the exhale, feel the support of the spine and feel the support of the shoulders. Feel where our weight lands in the hips. Our body wants to do this. Our body is made for this, right? Okay, let's do some circles with the upper body here. We're going to take the solar plexus as our the point that we're watching, or the point that we're moving. So let's first shift it out to the right, big curve, and then circle it back, and then to the left, and then forward. So it's just a big circle. Solar plexus leading. Try to get the whole body involved. Okay, let's circle the other way. Take your circle the other direction. Okay, let's come on back upright to our easy pose. And since we're here, let's go ahead and take that same treatment to our neck. So I like to be really careful with anything above the shoulders just because it's important. It's important hardware and smaller bones. So anything that we do with our neck, the most weight we're going to put on it is the weight of the head and gravity, right? If you're ever tempted to grab your head with your hand and arm and pull it, I recommend against that because I feel like it's just a good guideline. However much the body weighs, that's how much we can safely use to stretch or use to change. So let's take our right ear and we're just going to lower it towards the right shoulder. And the most important step, once we reach that stopping point, once our head has come to rest, now switch off. The top of the left shoulder and the left side of the neck, release the jaw. Make sure you just let gravity create this new shape, right? We're trying to agree with gravity instead of fight it or assist it. We're trying to feel it, right? Accept it and give thanks to it by participating in it actively, showing up and choosing to be present with gravity, because it becomes fun and our movements become more graceful, and it's just enjoying the sense of being alive, right? Enjoying our nerves. Let's come back up to center, and then we're going to lower our left ear towards the left shoulder. Same deal here, guide it into place. And then our job is just to do less, right? Switch off in the right side of the neck and the jaw and the top of the right shoulder. Just let gravity hold your head over there. Okay, let's do a couple of gentle circles with our neck. So from the left position where we're at, just let your head roll down. Notice the back of the neck, switch those muscles off. Move confidently because we're moving slowly and with perfect control. Roll your head to the right, and then back, and then left. Just take a couple of nice slow circles. If something doesn't feel quite right, explore it, not force it to change, but go back to it and listen to it, right? Let's circle the other direction. before we move out of our seat here, let's do a couple of things with our breathing, just to make sure we're using our full body. And it's not like we have to work harder. What we have to do is do less. But I find, especially in the morning, sometimes it's good to physically make space in the upper body so that we can breathe fully. So first, let's pull our shoulder blades back along the spine, right? Get the shoulders hugging back together, and then let's pull them up towards the ears. So we're pulling up and back, keep them pulling, and then just let them drop. Okay, this time let's if you roll the arms like this, it will close the shoulders in front of us. So let's roll the shoulders in, squeeze them inward, and then push down the front of the body. Squeezing in, pushing down, and then let that go. Okay, now as we inhale here, let's inflate the top half of the upper body, right? From the lower ribs up, inflate this, hold your breath. And then as you're holding, use the abdominal muscles to tuck up and in. Pull your navel towards your spine, and then pull that whole complex up under the ribs. And just hold it for a couple of seconds. Whenever it feels like you need to release that breath, let the muscles go. Let the breath go. Let's do that one more time. Nice, slow, full inhale. Loading up the rib cage, letting the rib cage expand with the breath. And then hold, and then tuck in and up with the belly. And release. Awesome. So I would like to do a sun salutation today, but what I would like to do is to take it apart, and we'll do the hard parts. We'll fine-tune the hard parts so that when we get there, we have the tips and tricks in line. So let's start it off in a tabletop. Okay, let's do a few cat-cows just to get everything warmed up. Right, drop the body on the inhale, tilt the tailbone up and lift the head. Lift the spine like a big mountain on the exhale, and we'll drop the head and point the tailbone down. Okay, let's start to take this here sun salutation apart. So let's step the right foot up outside the right hand. Okay? Now, take the right hand outside the foot. So the knee is sort of tucked into the armpit here. This is the situation we'll find ourselves in after we step forward in the sun salutation. Now let's tuck the toes and pick up the back knee. Okay? Take a second to move that around, make it feel stable. Now, the very important part we do here is to shift our sternum to the right so it's lined up right over the right foot. And what that lets us do is engage the right leg instead of the hands. And now we can just roll up from the hips, right? So when we're in our lunge in sun salutation, this is where we'll go. And as soon as we find this stability here, we're just going to come right back down. Center over the right foot. We'll get the hands down. Okay, now step the right foot back to join the left. And then lower with control. That's a lot of hard work, but that's good because we're doing it a little bit at a time, so we're not just overwhelmed when we get to the sun salutation. Because it's such a good thing to know. If I'm on a car trip and every time I stop to get gas or stop anywhere, I knock out a sun salutation because it uses the whole body, right? Okay. Here's another little part of the sun salutation. So our hands are right under the shoulders, so grip. Go wide with your fingertips and claw down like an eagle. And then pull forward with the head and lift the heart. Okay, upward facing dog or cobra. Okay, now we're going to look down between our hands. That's going to make our neck happy. And then tuck the toes. So tuck both sets of toes under. And now just straighten the knees and push the hips up and back. Our good old downward facing dog. Okay, let's go ahead and do the other hard part. Let's look at the left hand, and we're going to step the left foot forward. Okay? Do what you need to do to get that left foot under you. So now we know from the other side, I'm going to take my sternum to the left so it's centered over the left foot, and that leaves me free to just curl it up into this big lunge. Awesome. Okay, from here, let's just lower it right back down. Hands to the mat. We're going to step back with the left foot. We don't have to stay here long. We're just going to bring it on down to the floor. Awesome. And that's all the parts. All we got to do now is just put them together. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's lift up to tabletop. We're going to tuck the toes, sit back towards the heels to compress the lower body, and then straighten the legs for a downward facing dog. And then we're just going to take some small steps. No need to wear ourselves out prematurely. Let's walk it up towards the hands and then just roll it upright. Awesome. So, let's do one. I think what we will do is to start at the front of the mat because we're going to step backwards. And the first step is just sweep the hands and arms up like so. Big breath in. And then as we fold forward, swan dive. Lead with the heart. Take a moment to really let go in that forward fold. Feel the space in the back of the legs. And then we're going to take an inhale and just bring the back up halfway. So make the back sort of flat. And then exhale and fold in again. Okay? Now bend your knees as much as you need to get your hands to the mat. Right? Hands get to the floor, and then we're just going to step back long into a plank. Okay? Once we're here, lower it to the floor. Keep your hands in place, because now we're going to claw down, pull forward, and look up. And then look down between the hands, tuck the toes, and push the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Okay, our eyes tend to lead the body, so look at your right hand and then swing the right foot up there. Okay? Now, another important thing I forgot to mention. From here, weight your back foot. Send the hips, send the weight of the lower body into the back foot because it lightens the load of the upper body here. Okay, take your sternum over your right foot. We're just going to curl it up. Yes, once we're here, let's come on back down. Step that right foot back to join the left. We're going to lower with control. And then claw the mat, pull forward and look up. And look down between the hands, tuck the toes. Push up and back. Downward facing dog. Now we look at our left hand and step the left foot forward. Okay, all important move. Weight the back foot. Shift the sternum right over the left foot. Curl it up. Okay, we're just going to come right back down. Once our hands are holding us, step it back with the left foot. Lower to the mat. Okay, we're on the home stretch. Grip the mat, pull forward and look up. Look down between the hands, tuck the toes. Downward facing dog, but the difference here is that this is our rest and recovery pose, right? Notice your breath, notice your heart beating. All we have to do is just stay here, so make it feel restful, right? Make any adjustments you need to. I like a downward facing dog to feel like I'm just leaning on myself, right? Got my upper body propped against my lower body, and I'm just chilling. Let's walk our dog a little bit just to make sure the back of the legs or the back of the calves get a little individual attention. Okay, let's go ahead and lower the knees, and we're going to unflip the toes and take some well-deserved child's pose. Settle back towards the heels, either knees together or knees wide, whatever is most comfortable. And then we're just going to let the upper body come to rest. When our head meets the floor, that's the cue to let the whole body switch off, right? There's always little pesky muscle groups that want to stay active. See if you can go through like a vacuum cleaner and like release those little pesky tight muscles, right? Find the little ones that are, it's chronic tension, right? When our body doesn't have work to do, but our muscles still stay contracted and active, that's chronic tension. We're holding. Muscles are for working, remember? Muscles are for moving, and our bones are for being. And right now we're just being, right? Being still. Okay, let's gently bring it up to tabletop again. And let's go ahead and have another easy pose, right? So let's just find a seat once again. Check in with the lower body, make the legs and hips comfortable. The real requirement of the upper body is, if possible, we want our spine to be holding us up. Because as soon as we're propped or leaning, our nervous, the level of our nervous system starts moving towards sleep. Right? We want to stay alert and plugged in, but our body to be comfortable and still. So we do that by relaxing our belly, tucking our lower back forward so that the weight of the upper body can rest in those big, strong lower vertebrae. Okay, let's prop ourselves up with the left hand, and we're going to turn the right arm up, the right hand up, and it's going to come up and over. See what you can find there in the right side. If you get to a point where you're like, I don't know, I can't really feel it. If you just lift the heart and come forward with the solar plexus, it'll pick up everything that's happening in the lower body or in the side body. All right, let's come on back up to center. And we'll do a little propping with our right hand. Left hand comes up and over. See what you can find. And we come at it from both sides. When we find that still point, we're still being challenged, right? Our body's still reporting back, hey, something's going on. And if we don't feel it, make little adjustments until you're feeling it. But then it gives our mind a home. It gives our mind a cubby hole to come back to. What do I do with my attention? For this short period of time, we feel it. Wherever we're getting that spark of sensation, that's where we are with our attention. We're there watching it. And that's why mindfulness practice and yoga and meditation is so huge, because it gives us a chosen point to rest our attention. All right, let's come on back to center. And this time, let's pop up to our knees. This is high kneeling, right? So this is just regular old kneeling. This is high kneeling. So So we're going to get our knees and our feet right together, and we'll take some camel pose. So this is what I'm doing with my hands. They're right at the lower back, fingertips pressing down, and then we're going to lead with the fronts of the hips. So take the fronts of the hips forward. They keep this sort of press. Remember, see the boundary of where our body doesn't go, where it doesn't move any farther in that direction. I like to sort of think of it as like a transparent bubble. Here's the line, right? Press against that line. Use it as a form of support and a form of stability and something that we know and can trust. So rest the front of the hips on that bubble and then lift the heart, lift the solar plexus. Find their place on that bubble. Look up at the sky. Keep the shoulders pulling back towards the spine. Okay, let's come on back forward, and we can take the hands free now, and let's step forward with the right foot. So the place where it lands, the best balance, is usually right under the knee. So from there, go forward about another foot. Okay, so we just opened up this angle in the knee. That's what we want. Because in general, when we start to get smaller than 90 degrees with our knee angle, it becomes uncomfortable. So we're just trying to stay obtuse here. Keep that angle open. And we're going to use our hands to the hips and gently sink forward. Okay? Upper body stays tall. It's tempting to do this. But what we want is to keep this tall, but come forward so that, again, we're letting gravity combine with the body, the weight of the body, and make space in the hips and the pelvic muscles, right? Just sink. Okay, let's use our hands on the right knee here, and we're going to take a little right twist. Turn the head and shoulders to the right. Okay, let's come back forward. And now we will go ahead and bring the front of the body towards the knee. See if you can make contact here. And we're just going to stay stuck to the right leg, but start to straighten the right leg. Stay released out over the right leg and find a forward fold that is potent, but it is tolerable, right? We don't want it to hurt, but we want to feel it. Okay, let's bring it on back upright with the upper body, and then we'll just switch knees. So the right knee goes back, left goes forward. Anytime that we're here on the knee, of course, this is not the sort of discomfort we want. So if your knee feels bad on the floor, just double up your mat or grab some cushioning, okay? Because we're doing lots of stuff, uncomfortable stuff on purpose. We don't need to be distracted by unnecessary discomfort. Okay, first let's hop the left foot forward a little bit, and then you can either keep your hands to the hips, you can keep them out here for balance, whatever feels best. We just want to sink forward into the hips. See if you can feel that. It's like gravity's working on the upper body and focusing that push or focusing that weight down in the hips, right? That's what we want, is to feel space in the hips caused by the upper body. Okay, let's use the hands on the knee, and we'll take a little twist to the left. Okay, we'll come back to center. Let's go ahead and get the hands down to the floor, lean on the left leg, and then we stay stuck to the left leg, and let's just start to bring the knee towards straight. Doesn't ever have to be straight. We just want to get a good length happening in the back of the left leg. And we want to get the upper body supported so that we can just stay there with it and watch it. Okay, let's keep our hands on the ground, but let's just step that left knee back, and we'll take some of our spinal twist from here. Okay, right hand flips up, and it's going to scoot through like so. We're going to bring our right shoulder to the floor, and our right ear or the right side of the head to the floor. And the first very important step, release, right? Sink towards the ground, let gravity take the body to whatever resting shape it would like. And from there, we'll take the left arm out to the side, and it's going to come up and back. And we're just dialed in to the back and the hips and the shoulders. We're just watching for sensation. And when we find it, we appreciate it, right? Nothing is below our notice. There's nothing that's banal or boring. Anything that we can find in our body is exactly where we should be, right? Anything that our body would like to tell us is great. Good news. A place, a way for us to commune with ourselves and be whole, right? Health, healing, wholeness, all that comes from the same root word. Just keep putting everything together where it should be. All right, let's come back to center. And we'll unwind that to the other side. Left hand flips up. It's going to scoot through here. Left shoulder comes down. Left side of the head. Let the body, I think of it as physically accepting the pose. I get there, but then a lot of my muscles are still hard and sort of protective, but it's like, I feel like I'm reassuring myself. Okay, I'm safe. I'm relatively comfortable. Like, I'm not in danger of getting hurt or surprised. I can relax, right? So that gives our body much more space to move. When those muscles release, especially as a group, as a whole, our joints are freer, right? And we have more range of motion. And that's what we're looking for here, to go places that we don't normally get to go in our day-to-day physical life. All right, let's extend the right arm out to the side. And it's going to come up and back. Notice where that lands. There's no wrong answer. Find the place to feel it. Show up and choose to be present. Okay, awesome. Let's come back upright. Or up into tabletop, that is. And let's go ahead and find an easy pose again. Okay, and we're not going to stay here long for this time. I just would like for us to really be specific about what we do with the upper body, because we're about to make it not as easy, but it's good to start with easy as our default, because we know it's like a feeling picture or a setting, a default setting. We want to set it up strong at the beginning, so when we do things that are variations and more challenging, we know what to come back to. Okay? So Y'all know how to do it by now. Belly is relaxed, lower back is tucked forward. Let's rotate the palms up so that that's setting our shoulders back. And then for a moment, slide the shoulder blades actively towards the spine. Switch them on so we're pulling in, right? Opening our heart, opening our chest. And then we don't have to keep the pull, just let them relax, but after pulling inward, right? Nice and tall and open with the upper body. Our chin is level. We don't have to push forward, but let's lift the heart towards the sky. Same with the solar plexus. Now, the last thing we check for is, are my bones doing this, or is it my muscles? And we let the bones happen, right? When we're sitting still, bones are for being. Let them do what they're for. Okay, now let's try to keep the upper body doing the same thing. But let's take the legs out straight. Hard pose, right? That's not what they call it, but they should, compared to easy pose. This is staff pose, stick pose, Dandasana. So let's do the same thing here. Let's turn the palms up. That's making sure the shoulders stay back and down. Really get serious about pressing forward with the lower back, because that's necessary here. If we don't, it just melts away, right? We just want the work coming from the lower back, because we want to be able to stay free across the collarbones and the front of the throat and the jaw. The upper body is supported so it can release and relax. Take another moment just to breathe here and notice where the effort comes from. Notice where you feel either muscles working or muscles getting tired, or maybe muscles shaking, or maybe it's just a general sense of, I want to sit a different way. Just be more specific about it, go into that discomfort. Okay, let's take the hands and arms up. Use this pull to put space in the back of the body, and then we'll hinge it forward from the hips. Reach out long, and then release. Okay, let's roll it back upright. And we're going to take our right leg, bend the knee so the right foot ends up out to our right side. Okay? Use your hands and arms here to hold you up and prop you up, because the hips are uncomfortable, even on a good day. But if you have something that's already hurting, like the hips can really turn you off. So make sure you use your hands and arms to keep you comfortable, keep you safe. We're going to bend the left leg, of course, so that left foot is in front of us. All right? And then aim the sternum at the left foot and lean forward. Find a place where you're really getting that signal of, whoa, I don't go much further in this direction. But instead of backing off or giving up, we just lean on it, right? Fully conscious, fully present. Feel it on purpose. Just being alive on purpose is something I've been coming back to a lot when I think about the reasons we do this stuff, the reason why movement makes us feel better and more whole. It's because we're using our body for what it's made for. It's made to propel us through space and find food, Of course, us humans have complicated that a little bit, but when it comes down to what our body wants, it's still the same, right? We still need the same thing that our cavemen ancestors did, which is to move around. All right, let's come on back upright. And then use your hands just behind the hips, and let's just lean it back a little bit. Same thing here, make it exploratory. Listen to the hips. Only go as far as they say it's okay. But then find that border where they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's okay or not. That's the place we want to be, right? Because we're paying close attention, and we can always abandon it. If it gets to be too much, we leave it. We leave it in a safe way because we know how we got there, and we're paying paying close attention. All right, let's come back to center and we'll just switch legs. Okay, right leg is going to come in front of us. Left leg goes out to the side. Okay, use the hands and arms wherever they feel most useful. And we're going to aim the sternum at the right foot. Gently bring it forward. Okay, let's come on back upright. And we'll take our hands just behind us and lean it back. Find that place that is stable and is, I won't say comfortable, but sustainable, but it's also giving us information, right? If we don't feel the pose, if we don't go out to that border, we're comfortable, which means we don't feel anything. We want to make ourselves just a little uncomfortable, but in very specific, controlled ways. That's why I always say we want this to be like a laboratory. Treat our body like a laboratory and a playground, right? Laboratory in the sense that we're controlling for one variable, right? It's not just wild movement. That's on Monday nights. We're trying to make it so that we change one thing at a time with the rest of the body being stable so that we feel very specifically, is this coming from under my hip or from the side or from the top? I've never been super interested in diagrams and anatomical stuff of the bones and the muscles until I started doing this stuff. And now it's fascinating because I've felt those things. When I go look at scientific illustrations or I look at how the body works, I'm like, oh yeah, I see why that happens. I've even narrowed down my hip issue to the, what's that thing called? The psoas, which is a weird muscle. PSOAS. That anatomists are excited about saying it's the only muscle that connects the upper body to the lower. And it wraps around the back of the spine. Say my right one wraps around the back of the spine, and then it comes over inside the right hip, and then attaches to the back of the right thigh. So it's like keeps everything snug in there. Too snug in my current case. All right, let's come on back to center, or back upright, and we're going to go ahead and get the soles of the feet together. Okay, take a moment to hold the that's not my elbows. Hold the ankles and scoot them in, right? We want to feel that stability that comes from our limitations. Again, we want to feel compacted and firm and secure. And let's do our normal stuff that we do with our easy pose. That means consistently bringing the lower back forward. We don't have to do it hard, but we just want to remember to do it always whenever we're sitting up. Okay, take the crown of the head and get nice and tall. Now we're going to activate the leg and hip muscles to push the knees toward the floor. Now, I probably don't have to worry about you guys, but my students at school, the first thing they do is this. So it's not an elbow. We're not pushing with elbows. It all comes from here, right? Because it's not important to get to the floor. What's important is that we learn to do things consistently and steadily and insistently. So we just get a push going, and we figure out a way to do that in a stable, steady manner. Okay? This time let's link the hands and fingers, and we're going to go around the toes. Same deal, lower back reaches forward, crown of the head reaches up, but this time we're getting our knees pulling in towards our shoulders. There's not a specific goal, an outer goal. Even if our knees are touching our shoulders, we keep pulling in, right? That's the name of the game, is steady, consistent activation. Excuse me. Awesome. Let's let the knees settle back to where they want to go. And then this time, we're just going to lean it forward. Let gravity bring the upper body forward. Find a place for this to land in the legs and the hips. All right. Let's come on back up. And let's build ourselves a very comfortable, easy pose, because the time has come to use our attention muscle, to spend a little time using our focus muscles. So what we like to do is to make sure that we're sitting comfortably. Same thing as an easy pose. In fact, easy pose and our meditation seat are interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. We want to be upright, but we want our legs and hips to be at a place where they don't feel cramped, they don't feel crushed, they feel okay, at least for 5 minutes. When you go for longer periods of time, that changes drastically because what you're doing with your body becomes more and more important. But for now, we just want to be comfortable and upright. And we're going to do probably the meditation I spend the most time on, because I can do it without any props, and I can do it without even a timer, which I've probably mentioned before. Using a timer was probably the most important thing for me when I started meditating, because until then, I would just hop up as soon as my brain got busy, which was immediately, of course, because once you start to look in there, it's like you're opening the curtains, you're like, oh God, no, what a mess. But once you have a timer set, it's easier to stay there. Even if it's a mess, you're just like, okay, it's a mess, but I want to be here with it for the next 4 minutes and 45 seconds, But this is one that you can do without even a timer, because I've come to realize what we're going to do is count our breath, right? So just like we did at the beginning of class, take a few. Now, keep in mind the difference here between a breath technique and a meditation with a breathing focus. This is the latter, right? With a breath technique, we're trying to breathe real deep, or we're holding our breath, or we're using our belly to push out all the air. These are all wonderful things. But when we're doing a meditation with a breath focus, if our breathing is shallow, that's fine. It just means we're sitting still and we're comfortable and calm, right? And it just makes us look even harder. It makes it more subtle and more, we have to be more engaged to follow our breath. But notice where you feel the movement, right? That could be the rim of the nostrils. It could be inside the nose. It could be the upper lip. It could be the belly or the chest. If right now, in this moment, your attention wants to go to another place, we want to follow the movement of the breath. For me, that means the rim of my nostrils. That's where it works the most. Could be different for you, but just find that place where the breath is most real or most bright in our inner eye. Okay, and now what we're going to do is to count our breathing. And each half of a breathing cycle will get its own count. So the first inhale is 1, and then the exhale is 2, and the inhale is 3, the exhale is 4. We'll lose count, right? We'll get busy, our attention will go elsewhere. We're going to do this for 5 minutes no matter where we count. I've realized after doing this a lot that when I'm counting my breath, 100, when I get to 100, that's about 5 minutes. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but you don't have to worry about losing count, because I'll take care of the time. I won't keep you here all morning. But if you totally lose count, then just start over, right? Or find the last number, because the count is not really that important. That just keeps the part of our brain that likes the logical, rational, discriminating side, counting side, the accountant side of our mind. It gives it something to do, right? Because again, it's about wholeness. It's about involving as many parts of our body and our mind as we can. And what makes it a meditation is that we keep returning, right? We know that our mind will go, and we'll just bring it back one more time. Okay, we'll take 5 minutes here. make some tiny movements with just our fingers and toes. Take your time moving back to the outside world. Because when we take time to go inward and to be very still, it's refreshing, right? And it's good to carry that with us. We do that by being, I think of it as not making waves, right? Not shaking up the glass. We've taken time to let the glass become still and clear. So when we finish, stay in that mode. And it just helps us keep the good stuff with us for longer. Well, thank you for practicing with me today. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste. You're welcome.